This is a sad little 4-year-old boy. And because of substance abuse, he knew what it felt like to be depressed at that age. And because of substance abuse, he was robbed of his childhood. My name is Xavier Cardona. So addiction actually has affected me a great deal. I remember a time when I was 3 years old. I was watching my mom play handball on the porch, and two officers came up to her and asked her for her name. And I remember she looked at me, she didn't say nothing to them, and she ended up getting slammed right on the floor in front of me. And then these two cops picked her up, and then they threw her in the cruiser. And then I was thrown in a closet, and I remember a lady telling me not to come out until she came and got me out the closet. And the next time the door opened, there was another officer standing next to a social worker, and they were chasing me around the table, and they were screaming at me, and they were saying, "It's okay, son, we're here to save you." And I was placed into foster care. It was later on, a few years, when my grandmother got guardianship of me and my two siblings, is when I started to realize I was in there because of some of the choices that my mother has made around substance abuse, using and selling drugs. My biological father also had his own substance abuse issues, and I was never a priority in his life. So I grew up with a lot of anger and frustration around, my parents' poor choices of substance abuse, using and selling drugs. And I became violent myself. And, I carried this rage on with me for my early teen years, and I ended up, making some poor decisions in life. And when it came time when I was 13, I lived in the projects in Bedford. And there was nothing but drugs and guns and just drama and trauma growing up. And I didn't have good influences in my life at that time, so that's when the first time I started using and abusing substance abuse. I started drinking, smoking pot at 13, started taking all kinds of benzos. Pills were just my favorite, any color, any size. If I knew it had something to do and affect me a certain way, make me feel better about who I was and what I've been through, I was all in. And it wasn't until I got later on into my late teen years where I started realizing, about 18, I was drinking and smoking too much. I weighed myself at 95 pounds. In high school I ended up getting a female pregnant. And later on that year I had my first daughter. And it was then when I realized I had to start doing things differently. But being around the South End, you're always exposed to that type of lifestyle, and it's the only thing I knew growing up. And so I kept, making wrong decisions because of my poor influences that I had in life. I got involved with this program called the Father's Nurturing Program, and it really kind of helped me shift and mold and shape the way that I was thinking. Not specifically just for my children, but through the life decisions I was making. I had to do things differently. And so I went through this program, and it made me really understand how important and the impact that I really had on my kids' lives. The following year I had 2 more kids. The next one I had another one. I was like 5 kids now. And, I really got to understand that, life with substance abuse would mean no life, no contribution to my family. The kids that I love so much, that I promised I would never be nothing like my parents. And so I made some decision, and I made a choice. And I said, you know what, substance abuse, drugs, alcohol, pills, all that, I don't need it in my life, neither do my kids. And I have to be that type of role model for my children. You turn on the media now, you see what's on TV, you hear what's on the radio, it's nothing but bad news. Check out any news station, turn it on. There's nothing but trauma. There's nothing but people dying because of substance abuse issues. I don't want my kids around that. I don't want them to be influenced by a poor role model. And I promise to never do that to my kids. So from here on forth, I'm a 365 dad. If you see my shirt, I say no to substance abuse. I say no to domestic violence. I say no to negativity, because my kids deserve that. My kids deserve the world, and I'm going to give that to them. Substance abuse has taken a lot from me. It's taken my childhood. It's taken a lot of my closest friends, my close family. Just last year, I lost a cousin. November 13th, 2014, and he went to the hospital, and he tried to get some help. I don't know the whole story, but he ended up leaving the hospital, going back inside into the bathroom, and he used. And it was the last time he used in his life because he overdosed that day. He died. So I hate substance abuse. Substance abuse, alcohol, drugs. You're not going to take anything else from me. Anybody who's a friend or relative around me, just know that if you need the help, please reach out. Because people like me are out here. We've been through it. We don't have to go through it again. Neither do you. Please ask for help. There's people out there that are willing to help you.